All right, lesson 11 is on tax, commission, fees, and other real-world percent problems. We've been dealing a lot with percent problems, and now we're going to kind of wrap it up and show you how much we deal with this in real life. So let's look at just some examples right here. Okay. Silvio earns 10% for each car sale he makes while working in a dealership. If he sells a used car for $2,000, what is his commission? So commission is the amount you get paid for selling things. Car salesman, I know my brother used to work commission for when he worked at Sears and would sell like TVs and DVD players. So a lot of times people get paid based on how much they sell. So he earns 10% for everything he sells. So he's going to earn 10% of $2,000. Okay, so remember, of means to multiply. We change our percent to a decimal because we don't multiply unless it's a decimal. So that becomes 0.10. And if I kind of clear things out here, if we were to go 0.1 or 0.10 times 2,000, we get 200. So he would earn $200. Okay, let's compare that to this other example. Eric bought a new computer and a printer online. He had to pay 10% in shipping fees. The items totaled $2,000. How much did shipping cost? Well, he's going to pay 10% of $200. I'm sorry, $2,000. Guess what? Of means to multiply. Changes to a decimal. And guess what? He's going to pay $200. Okay. Selena, she had her wedding rehearsal and dinner at a restaurant. Now the restaurant's policy says, hey, you're a large group, we're putting gratuity, tip. Okay, gratuity and tip are the same thing. But her father said it was so great that he wanted to leave an extra 10% tip. The dinner bill totaled $2,000. How much did he leave as a tip? Well, he tipped 10% of the total price, $2,000. So, you know what? We're going to do the same thing we've been doing. And the extra tip is going to be $200. So you can see in all of these problems, we kind of did them the same way. I'm almost back to that whole quantity equals percent times whole. But we were talking about tips. We were talking about shipping fees. We were talking about commissions. But a lot of these things we figure out the same way. And so I'm going to challenge you in this lesson is make sure your answer makes sense. Make sure if it's a shipping fee, like I would add this on to 2,000. If it's a discount, that's what I'm going to subtract. And those are the type of things you want to make sure you just use your common sense for. So let's look at a few more examples. School board has approved the addition of a new sports team at your school. Awesome. So the district ordered 30 team uniforms and they received a bill for $2,992.50. This included a 5% discount. So because they ordered 30 uniforms, they get a discount of 5%. But unfortunately, the school needs to order 2 more uniforms. They're not going to get a discount because it's not going to be $1,000. It says the company said the discount will not apply because the discount only applies to orders of 1,000 or more. How much will the 2 uniforms cost? Well, we need to figure out what 1 uniform costs, right? So here is where we got to think back a couple lessons. When we get a 5% discount, what are we paying? What percentage are we paying? So if it's a 5% discount, that means we only paid, or I'll spell it right. We paid 95% of the total, right? Because if we paid 100% of the cost, 100%, right? If I take off a 5% discount, that means I paid 95%. So 95% of the total cost is $2,992.50, right? This is what we paid. That included a 5% discount. So 95% of the total cost is this number. So now let's change that into a decimal. Again, this is whole, this is total, this is our part. 0.95 times of is times C, our total cost, is an equal sign, $2,992.50. So now we're solving this, right? I'm solving for C. I want to know what the total cost is, because if I know what the total cost is, I can figure out how much one uniform cost. So it's 0.95 times C, so I'm going to do the inverse, and I'm going to divide the opposite. We undo multiplying with dividing. I'm going to divide by 0.95. That means our total cost is, you take 2,992.50 and divide it by this. Okay, again, it's really helpful to write like that because some of us are still switching these around. And that's going to work out to $3,150. That's our total cost. That's how much the 30 uniforms should have cost us. So if I know our total cost should have been $3,150, and I know I bought 30 uniforms. All right, so if we go 3,150 divided by our 30 uniforms, that's going to equal 105. Say hi quick.
Hi.
All right, so that means it's $105 per uniform. But we 102. So if we go 105 times 2, it's going to cost the school $210. All right, again, guys, just kind of common sense. You know, think of it in terms of what percent you're paying instead of what the discount is. Okay? All right, so keeping along the same lines here, the school district, fortunately, does not have to pay the 8% sales tax. So how much sales tax did they save? Well, schools get exempt a lot of times from having to pay sales tax. If this was just a regular person, excuse me, that wanted to buy this, how would we figure out what the sales tax would be? Well, you're going to pay 8% of $2,992.50. So make it into a decimal. 0.08 of means to multiply. $2,992.50. Okay? So when you type that into a calculator, you get $239.40. Just multiplying that. Okay, so how much did they save? $239.40. Okay. All right, so now pay close attention to this one. What happens when you lose a uniform, right? Or, you know, something happens to it. As a coach, this has happened before. I've had players lose uniforms. So a student who loses a uniform in this school has to pay a fee equal to 75% of the school's cost. 75% of the school's cost. Well, remember, we said the school's cost was $105. So it says for a uniform that cost the school $105, will the student owe more or less than $75? Well, we need to figure out what 75% of 105 is. So change it to a decimal, 0.75 times 105. $78.75. So the student, the player, would have to pay $78.75. Well, that would be more than, right? More than the $75. All right, one more. This is something you're going to have to do in your homework, okay? It says write an equation to represent the proportional relationship, again, back to proportionality, between the school's cost of uniform and the amount a student must pay for the lost uniform. Okay, so we're not talking about this particular team. We're talking about a student who loses a uniform must pay a fee equal to 75% of the school's cost. Okay, so if you lose a uniform, the student must pay 75% of the cost of the uniform, right? So we can move this to a decimal, right? Times the cost. Well, let's go back up here and see what else it says. Use U to represent the uniform cost. Okay. And S to represent the amount a student must pay. Well, a student is going to pay 75% of the uniform cost. Okay? So this right here, this equation represents what the student must pay. So whatever, the power of this is it doesn't have to just be $105. Any team, whatever the price of their uniform is, if they lose it, this is what they have to pay. Now the last thing says, what is the constant of proportionality? The constant proportionality is the number we're multiplying by. So the constant of proportionality is 0.75. Ooh, I didn't write that very clean. Or you could say 75% because they're paying 75% of the cost. All right, so a lot of times being able to write an equation and proportional relationship can help us find in percent problems the price that we're going to need to pay or the percentage of the price we're going to need to pay.